Again, in 1999, the acreage was offered at lease sale. But you had, so one company purchased a bunch of it, and they held it, and they blocked it for many years. And then when their 10 years was up, they had 10 years to start producing. They did not start producing in those 10 years, and so they lost most of it. And then in 2011, that's when the lease sale happened, and the company, the consortium was formed called Classic Marine Mining. And so that's what I'm the manager of that company, and Tag Gold owns 10% of that company. And so we have the mining rights to that, and I'm the manager of that also. And so I have business partners who share in that investment to buy the mining rights. And that's the company that spent the $14 million to do the studies and the breakthrough. So now that you're mining them, right? So now we are mining, because we are mining, we can renew that indefinitely, just like the leases. Some of the leases in 1962 have been renewed indefinitely or continuously every year, and some of the leases in 1999 are still being renewed every year. So as long as we are following the rules and filing properly and paying our taxes, we can keep renewing forever. And so as we mine out in the area, we might release it back to the state once it's done and mined out. But so they took we had 26 leases that totaled 16,500 acres. We were asked the state to consolidate them into contiguous blocks, and now we have 3 leases for the same area, but now it's 3 leases, so now we only have to have 3 vessels operating in order to maintain those 3.
And you rent it from the government?
Yes.
The property?
Right. Yeah, so the government owns, they own the seabed,
Yes.
and then just like oil and gas leases, they lease the mining rights to us, so we own the mining rights lease. Other people own the fishing rights, and then everyone's allowed to travel across. We can't block travel. And then, how do you say, yeah, so we pay every per acre cost. So every acre we have under lease, we have to pay an annual rent, plus we have to pay a state of Alaska tax. And then plus the state of Alaska royalty.
Okay, well, here in Canada, you don't pay tax.
I don't know, we're not Canada.
No, I said
I don't know. So there's different things. So there's claims, there's patents, there's leases. And so most people are unfamiliar with gold mining leases because this is one of the few areas that has gold mining leases. Most areas are either claims or patents. And so that's another reason people are like, I only know what claims are, or I only do patents, because patents are that you own the land. A claim and lease are very similar, right? There's almost no difference. Leases are actually better, because if we don't file a piece of paperwork, we have 30 days to cure, whereas a claim, you immediately lose if you don't file properly. So, it's for us, it's no issue. If it was on land, we would want the patent, because then when you're done mining, you sell it as real estate. You own the land, but here you just own the mining rights, which is good. It's a cheaper area. Safe.
If we can buy it in the years after, so is that like a stable production level, or is it?
Yeah, so we can
every year.
Right, so we would be able to do about 13 years at that level.
Sorry?
About 13 years at that level. And then that would get that amount of the high grade material, and then we'll go to the next grade. And so we have the map of the deposit, and we can mine the best areas first, and then we mine the next best areas and the next best areas. So our mining season is about 7 months per year, because when there's sea ice, the Northern Sound freezes, but that's also the time when the king crab come in. And so our permits don't allow us to operate when there's king crab, nor do we want to. We don't want to operate when there's king crab, because our neighbors rely on king crab for their livelihood. And so, nor do we want to operate with sea ice. So it works out well, very convenient, or synchronous. And then, of course, like I mentioned, we're very ultra green gold because we use 1/6 the amount of fuel, of diesel as land operation with. We have one piece of machinery that does the bulk of the work. Whereas on land, you have 6 pieces of machinery. You have, an excavator, and a dozer, a loader, and a truck, and a wash plant, and so we're very efficient. And then, of course, with water, we have open end water. So on land, you have to sometimes pipe the water in, and then you have to have all these permits, so. But, we're very well regulated. We have a very good relationship with all the regulators. It's very, they have very strict rules, and it's no problem to follow them. The hydraulic fluid we use is ultra green hydraulic fluid. It's ultra low toxicity, so it's mineral oil based, not petroleum based. So it's considered safe for use in the marine environment. Although we still have to report any spill we might have. Yeah.
So you have about 4 ships in operation?
Yes, so the Casa, Pelagic, Ginger, and Jack.
And you're working now on a 5th?
Yes, so the Dagny, and then the provider. So the 5th and 6th.
What is your cost price of 1 ounce?
It's about 50%.
60%.
And that includes state of Alaska mining tax and royalties.
And your own production in the month last year or
Prediction of this year, whatever.
This year's production should be around 5,000 ounces. What is that in kilos? Sorry, I need 150. 100, yeah, 180 kilo, something like that. Yeah, 150, something like that. And so with the improvements, if we can reach our goal for gold sales for this fall, then next year we will buy the equipment, or we reach our sales goal for this fall, or for gold sales, we'll be able to purchase the equipment this fall and get it ready for start of the mining season, June 1st. And next year should be 800 kilos to 1,200 kilos.
and how do you set these goals?
So we have the 4311, the data report, and the $14 million of gold studies. And so we know what the grade of the ground is. So the amount of volume of material that we can process times the grade is the amount of gold that we can produce. So with the current volume of material that we can process for all the vessels that are online now, that results in that number, that 180 kilos number of production. And then, so the new equipment should be able to produce a lot more volume. And the numbers have been pretty accurate. The actual numbers compared to, so we're always checking our numbers and checking ourselves to make sure that we're being as efficient as we can. And with some borax, and we can make little dorés. We don't try to refine it. This is just for security purposes, so we can ship the gold. So if this is 20 kilos, and I put that in my carry-on the airplane to take to Anchorage.
That's the repeat. You put it, yeah?
Yeah, liquefaction separator, it uses the settling velocity of gold, so water is flowing up, and the mixture is boiling, this mixture boiling, and then the speed of the water is faster than the settling velocity of the not gold, and slower than the settling velocity of gold, so the gold drops through. So there's a separating column and then the funnel, and so it boils up, and then the not gold flows over into a tank or tub, and then the water recirculates, and run that through a sluice, double check it, get the report, we can rerun it if there's some problem. So it's
Who's designing these machines?
some of these are off the shelf, and some of them are just standard. Like this you saw the logo, yeah, so that's a brand name. We just buy this machine from that man, John Richmond, who was loose in Albany, Oregon. And so from here, that jar, all I have to do is dry it. That's sellable quality. So that here, this one is 84% gold. So these are some of the jars of gold. And same jars, different photo. And, so each of these bags is about 2 kilos. So that's one of our nuts. So here we go. They take newspaper. So this is when, and it gets from screened and then goes to the sluice box. And so this part catches the nuggets and the coarser gold, and then it goes down and it splits. And this part is 5 feet wide, double decker, and then 10 feet long. So almost 2 meters by over 3 meters. And then it comes down, and to protect the environment, all the material gets funneled down and then piped back on the bottom, so it's not dropping through the water column. So the turbidity cloud just gets released right above the seabed. So this is the final, the next step from the sluice box. We then screen it. We have a giant screener, power screener that screens different sizes, and then it comes into this is called a shaker table. So the material comes in here, and that's the high spot, and then this is the low spot, and then these are about even these corners, and the water is going this way and shaking this way. And so the gold, since we've already separated everything by size, now we separate by weight, and weight times size is density. So that's how and gold is the dense material. So that's how we separate the gold. First by size, it's very important to get as narrow size as possible, and then we separate by weight. So the water pushes the light material this way, and there's these grooves and gaps. And so the gold makes the gap jump to the next, and then the light material gets washed and misses the gap and falls down. So it falls down. So this part has no gold in it. This part has some gold in it. We rerun that. And this part has the sellable gold. That all we have to do is dry it at that point. So it's a very fun machine to play with or to operate. You know, that's the fun part. And we do this part on land because we need to be very stable, because it relies on very little motions. You see the gaps. And so the gold is making the gap, and the not gold is dropping. Yeah.
Goes in the hole.
Yeah.
Drain hole.
Yeah. And then, so this is on a circulator. So this,
Are you doing that on shore? Or
yeah, so that's step, so we take from this boat, but we're gonna also outfit it, for next year with another ROV that's larger and, add to our fleet. This is a 50-ton excavator, with a 5-yard bucket. And so this helps launch the vessel, to launch the barges and recover the launch and land, I should say. So this is the provider that is up next. So you know that Christine Rose from the TV show, the star of the Gold Divers TV show, that's Christine Rose. The biggest dredge known, that's my boat. So it's a dry dock here for the figure. This is another picture of it. And so here's my daughter, and it's a bit of a stormy day that day. So, and my younger brother Daniel, my older brother Stephen, he's retired U.S. Navy submariner, and then our sister Natalie. This is the beginning of the season before the ROV got added onto the deck. So we launched the boat, and then we add the actual thing to it, because we use a trailer for this boat. So it's a very expensive trailer that can handle, because it's 100 tons. But we can launch the boat in 15 minutes. Whereas the other ones use roller bags. They're like giant sausages, but they're inflated. It's like a pneumatic roller. Anyway, it's a fun process to watch. So with the so here we are at the sea. You can see the 4-point anchoring, the anchor lines, the 4 lines coming up in that X configuration. And so that's how we get very precise control in keeping that boat directly above ROVs. The ROV can drive in straight lines. And so the ROV, it has this 18-inch, 1.5 feet intake, and it's swinging an arc that's 40 feet. So, and it's very, very efficient. The first two I showed you, the last one I showed you, it sucks it up, and then it screens on the ROV. This one, it sucks it up and then brings everything to the surface and screens with a bigger screening plant, and so it can get more cuts. So this is the nugget cut, and then, when this picture was taken, it's before, in travel configuration. So they had just arrived in Nome for the season, and so we need to install the sluice boxes. Just when you're traveling at the open seas, you don't want everything unfolded. So this one, the ROV comes off the stern, just like the first one I showed you. And so the ROV suction nozzle, like this, and then the water pump, and it's also tracked. This one's about 12 tons, 15 tons. And here it is in the water operating. The A-frame is rocked back, and the ROV is lowered down. And so the vessel stays right on top of the ROV. So that way the remote operated vehicle, this is one is the largest one. It is about 20 tons. And so we'd be adding another one with the proceeds from the Ford Gold sales. And this is also the largest vessel. So this is the largest motor vessel. It's 160 meters, about. So the large A-frame, and so this is a standard layout with a large A-frame and then the ROV and then the wash plant is on the other side. There's a sluice box right there. And then the control room, and they have a finishing plant on board. Or this one has a finishing plant and crew quarters. So because it's so large, it's a lot more efficient. So we want to get more like this, another one like this, with an even larger ROV. And so that's all the town of Nome in that section. And then turning to the south, looking out to the Bering Sea. At the typhoon we had, the typhoon in September of last year, 1 year ago, threw up a bunch of sand and covered it, so they piled it up there and get it out of the way. That was quite destructive to the town. There's the oil tankers, fuel tankers, it sits out there and then they lighter to the villages. And so this is a good mining day, so everyone is out mining, except for this boat. It's just a TV show platform. They don't actually really mine with it. They pretend for a TV show. Yeah, normally if it's bad weather, this is packed with boats with dredges for the small dredges. So the in-close, shallow leases that do diver operated or excavator operated. But mostly, there's a SpaceX Starlink ground station in Nome. It's nice for us to have. And then satellite communications. There's a seafood plant.
How many companies are mining there?
So there's a lot of small ones, just owner operated, mom and pop, like not really mom and pop, just one or two people. River rock, cobble, like a cobblestone. Yeah, it's and then there's gravel below. And so as the sea churns, this is shallow, 20 meters and shallower typically, and so the sea is churning up, and it's extensive analysis of where the gold is, where the deposit is, and a defined resource. So we actually have what's called a 43101, and so that's a defined resource. It's a Canadian standard that we have met. Very rare for an alluvial deposit to have a 43101. Mostly that's for hard rock. But just another map from that data. So that in 2012 to 2014, we spent $14 million scanning and studying and drilling and producing these maps. So these are ancient riverbeds. And so in the 1980s, there was a behemoth dredge, and it dredged, it did 11 ounces an hour, which is 1/3 kilo per hour. So what is that? Several kilos a day. And so this is the river channel. And so what we've mostly been mining on this section here, continuing this area. 2012 through 2014, we were mining, 2012 through 2015, we were mining this area around here, many thousands of ounces, and continuing here with the new additions to the fleet, the mining rates. So I have two sets of mining rates. One set is 16,500 acres, and then the other set is 2,800 acres, a total of 79 square kilometers. So that's just the state boundary, the 5-mile line, and the each one of these ones are 1 mile square. So one mile by 1 mile, 640 acres. We call it a section. in a section is 640 acres or 1 mile square, so that's the units. So there's several 1 square mile, some half square mile sections, and then some areas that are multiple sections and partial sections. So we are in the state boundary of 3 mile with the 5 bunker. And so the city of Nome is here, the airport, the dock, the port of Nome. This is an old satellite photo, the river actually comes up here now. And then 6 miles or 10 kilometers this way, and then it goes, like I said, about 20 kilometers the other way, about 12 miles. You can see the scale there. So, and of course, there's Nome, Anchorage, the capital of Juneau, Fairbanks, Nome, Siberia. Yeah, Siberia, Russia, and Canada, Northwest, and British Columbia down here. So we're quite remote. We get a lot of traffic from Northwest Passage, and they come and they stop in Nome either to start the Northwest Passage or when they finish. So we have here again are the outline of the boundaries, and we have extensive scans, sub-bottom profiles and surface scans. So this is the surface scan of the texture of the seabed. So the white is sand, and the darker it means bigger rocks. So the gravelly areas, and then each dot is a sample location for the second round of sampling that we did in 2012. So she likes to help, and she loves the beach. So this is a little more of a stormy day. So normally known as the waters are protected, but days like this, the boats that are out there now have a hard time finding this. The divers, the gold divers, don't operate when the waves are this big. This is maybe 1 meter, 1.5 meter seas. You can see it's on the jetty of the house, it splashes. And so all the boats come in. So the plan is with the 4 boat contracts to fund a larger vessel for the next round, to fund a larger vessel that can handle the bigger seas and the mine more hours per year. There's no trees in Nome, but we get a lot of driftwood. So there's driftwood on the beach, lots of trees, they don't. And so people harvest that to heat their homes. This is looking to the west. And so there's the different excavator dredges that you might have seen on television. And so there's miles and miles, kilometers of driftwood. ATVs are common, 4-wheelers. I don't know what you call them here, but my daughter was driving. So these are muskox. So there's hundreds of these around town, and they're quite delicious, I've been told, and they're fun to watch. Their fur has kivit. It's like a wool, very warm. And so it's
Is it actually used as a little spun?
the kivit, yeah. It's the under wool. They're not sheared, so they have the long hairs up top and then but you have to harvest it from brush. So they go through the thickets and people go over it. Anyway, so when you come to Nome and visit me, we can go and look at these. And there's sometimes a bear that comes with me. So Nome is a remote place. It's a wild place sometimes.
That ice bear is over on
It's a big bear.
what kind of bear?
Black. I think it's a black bear. Although, I don't know. I didn't see this bear. There's not often bears in Nome, but the ones that do come into Nome are usually black bears that are looking for food. The brown bears are bigger. They can see around Nome. Am I talking too fast? I know there's not many people speak English very well. So I will go through this presentation. If you have questions, just feel free to ask them as I go along, and I can pause. So this the town of Nome, and then as you can see, just past the town of Nome is tundra, and there's the port here, and so the boats park in that small boat harbor and then go out the port. And so my leases go 10 kilometers that way and about 20 kilometers the other way, and 5 kilometers offshore are my mine rates. And so this is the Snake River along the airport. So the port of Nome is at the mouth of the Snake River. And So Nome is it's a remote community. You can only get there by air or by boat or dog sleigh in the wintertime. You cannot drive from Anchorage to Nome. You have to take aircraft. So here's the Iditarod Trail is the finish line. Nome is the finish line for the Iditarod Trail. And